Following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys!
This is Mick Shots, streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here are Bill Jones, Savannah Humoller, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And it's a rainy Mick Shots Monday, but we are dry here in the SWBC podcast studio.
God.
Savannah Humoller here, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola. We're missing one person, though.
What? Somebody's missing.
Bill is absent today. MIA, apparently in Fort Worth, perhaps?
He can't figure out the time.
MIA, we're missing idiot? What are we talking about?
You want to say what you said? At least what was your response?
At least it wasn't the black guy. That's right.
And I said at least it wasn't the old guy.
Right, that's right.
But to be fair...
We knew Savannah would be here.
Oh, damn right.
But to be fair, the person MIA last week was you, Everson.
That's right, man. But and not only that, I remember Bill ridiculing me once. I came in when there wasn't a show last year.
Yes.
And he looked at me like, hey, what are you doing here? With a smug look on his face. So now, you jerk. Now it's on you, Bill. We got you, buddy. We got your back, though. We got your back.
Well, we're
So,
back.
do we need to get your take since we didn't get your take after the game?
Yes.
Oh, man. Yeah, last week, it was kind of, I wouldn't call it depressing, but it was like, again, it's the same kind of feeling to where you can't get any lower, And when I say that, I mean, every time it comes to the playoffs, it's the same narrative from the pundits. And unfortunately, every time when it comes to the playoffs, we as a team, we play down to that narrative. And certain things that were said after the game, I was hoping you guys had some other quotes that maybe I missed, because I didn't feel like watching a press conference of just, okay, here goes the guys, saying, oh, I should have done better. But Dak said the game was moving too fast for him.
No, he said he was moving too fast.
He was too fast.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I heard that wrong.
He was moving too fast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He said he was playing too fast, like trying to do things.
Throwing too hard.
Too hard.
Too soon.
Too soon.
Yes.
And not letting things kind of play out.
And you asked for my comments. I have one question, and I don't know if you guys addressed it. I was doing a webinar, so I didn't mean to just blow you guys off like that. And I apologize, but that was I did good work that day. But what the heck was going on between Diggs and Dak? Was it just me, or was there some type of animosity going on?
Lamb?
Yes, that's what I don't know.
You said Diggs.
I'm so sorry. I meant CD.
Lamb. Yeah.
Yeah. Was there did they talk about that after the game? Has there been any type of scuttlebug, I guess an old school word, about what the heck happened and why they seem to all of a sudden disconnect? And I don't mean just disconnect on the field. They seemed like they didn't even want to talk to each other on the sidelines. And it got to be the topic, especially of that first half. Like, what happened to their connection? Did they address it, or you guys address it after the show, on the show?
We haven't talked too much in depth
really.
about it.
I think
after the first, let me clarify. After the first, I think third down. I think it was the first third down, and Dak had him over the middle, wide open. He threw it too far.
Right.
And maybe that's what he means. He was going too fast, because that's clearly an example of that. It seems as if from that moment on, they couldn't communicate. And I was wondering if there was some type of animosity going on at the time. Case in point, you see Lamar yesterday. he tried to throw the ball to one of his wide receivers, and he's telling them something from afar, and then he actually runs to them. He doesn't go to the huddle. He comes to his wide receiver, and they talk about it.
Right.
And they're on. They never had another miscommunication. And it seemed like they were more mature in how they handled it, versus it seemed as if Dak was in CD's ear, and CD didn't seem like he was trying to hear it at all. Now, that's just what I interpreted from watching it at home. I was just wondering if that was addressed at all in the media.
I thought if there was a disconnect that the Packers did a very good job of how they were covering him. Mm-hmm. A lot of double, a lot of zone
you
type
had
things.
To expect that, Spags.
I know. And he was off on a couple passes.
Yes.
You remember the one that CD kind of jumped back?
On the sidelines. That's when he rolled out and he threw it high and inside. High and inside. But CD makes those.
Right.
Now, the one I blame Dak clearly was the slant across the middle.
Right.
That could have been a really big play. He blew that one.
And he misread it.
Yes. Yes.
And give the safety credit, because he came off of, you're talking about the Savage interception.
I'm talking about the
touchdown?
No, I'm talking about the first third down, I believe, that we had.
Oh, okay.
And he threw it too far inside. That would have been a big play, I thought, because everyone else seemed to be separated. I thought he had maneuverability to run down the middle if he catches that in stride, which Dak should have put it in there, and he did not.
Yeah, he missed it.
And I'm like,
and sometimes, I'm not saying all the times, but with what I've seen in playoff games is quarterbacks, you sort of need to get them a couple easy throws.
That was easy.
Yeah.
That was easy.
Because they're so hyped.
And so was the other one easy.
They're so hyped up that they're throwing the ball high, or they're not throwing accurately.
And that the one that where he rolled out, the half roll, that was an easy pass as well. Seems like they were trying to get it going. I thought CD could have had it, but it's playoffs. You got to make that catch. But you also, why make it so difficult? He's right there as a quarterback. Of course, where I'm headed with this, man. I thought our defense was just such a letdown in that game. Right. I don't think they came to play at one moment during the game. And you talked about having to get your quarterback on track. All quarterbacks, not all, but most, you're going to give me some time, guys. All right, hold things off for me till I'm ready. You should be ready, but there are times when you're not. It's playoffs, I get it. A little nervous, playing too fast, like he said. And all of a sudden, hey, guys, just stop them, I'll be okay. Just stop them, I'll be okay. Just stop them, I'll be okay. They didn't stop a damn thing. And now the pressure is building, and the frustration is building. Not just on the defensive side, because they can't stop anyone, but offensively, hold them off, guys, until we're ready to get some things going. And so our game plan, once again, I told you, our defense plays off of our offense. And there are times when your defense has to take the reins. And, we're going back to the same old thing. You can't take the reins from anyone if you're giving up. You're getting gashed time in and time out, whether it's passing or running. So man, it was ugly. It was just straight up ugly.
The first thing that occurred to me in the Packer 49ers game was Love had more incompletions in the first quarter than he had in the entire game against the Cowboys. So the other thing I was going to ask you, and I didn't mean to interrupt, the fact that they played so much zone.
Yeah.
And they didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
To me, they were trying to cover for Gilmore not being totally healthy. And said, okay, we can't get him in man coverage the whole game. We're going to have to do something different.
Right.
And I thought that became a big factor because they didn't play that much zone during the season, to me. And they didn't know how to play it. There was more busted coverage. I'd never seen wide receivers, tight end, so open in my entire life.
It was horrible. And
to the point where Musgrave had to stand there still with his back to the end zone to catch the ball.
That's crazy.
That he was so wide open for that touchdown.
It's crazy. I have never seen a collapse. And, there are times when I say, most of the time, I like the players to have accountability. That's just, come on, man. Coaches are one thing, but if you're out there playing, coaches can't come play for you. And I don't know. It just seems like this particular time, they were not prepared properly. Much as I love Quinn, that was the worst preparation that might have to go back to when I played. It was the worst preparation I've seen defensively. And it wasn't just that they weren't prepared. This is a team that has talent. This is a defense that has talent. You showed that the way they showed that you can't have a game plan and expect talented players to pull it out of you. You understand what I'm saying?
We were a top 5 defense.
And we did not look like it. I mean, wide open. So we didn't stop them on the wide open passes, but they gashed us on the run. So you're playing zone, and not just for Gilmore, but you're playing zone for the run, I'm assuming. You have to play zone for the run. So either you worry about Gilmore or you worry about the run. You can't worry about both. And what we ended up doing was giving up the run over and over again. And once they started running, of course the play action is going to be wide open. He didn't have to study. He didn't have to really concentrate on one pass play. Everyone was wide open almost all the time. His footwork was horrible, talking about Jordan Love. It was horrible. But he didn't need to be good.
He was throwing off his back
He was always
foot.
just throwing off his back foot. Hey, guys, go get that for me. You got time. Don't worry. They're not within 10 yards of you. And that's the way they played. It was like they were literally playing with their food.
Well, the one thing that we harped on, especially trying to stop the run, you're stopping the run with one linebacker.
Yeah.
And that's not working.
And it has not worked all year. So why did we not? It doesn't. Why are we doing the same thing over again? That's insanity, right? Mm-hmm. That's insanity. That's what they say. And it was driving me crazy watching the game. So I'm trying to figure out where do we go from here systematically or systemically, whatever the word is. Where do we go from here? We can't go into next year with the same defensive game plan of, hey, we don't have any linebackers. I'm looking at the 49ers. I saw 3 big dudes lining up back there behind those defensive linemen.
Pretty obvious.
It was very obvious.
Blatantly.
So come on, what's our draft guy name? Will, come on, man. Give me some dudes.
Well,
give me some big dudes.
That's got to be one thing they
I'm drafting a linebacker in the first round
right?
And the second round.
Absolutely.
Come on, man. I'm just sorry.
And the thing that we hit on, the 2 rushing touchdowns they gave up, 1 yard and 3. Well, they gave up 3. Mm-hmm. But you're in goal-to-go situations, and you're playing with technically six defensive backs, and it just didn't work.
Did we expect it to?
Well,
apparently so.
And see, this is the thing. We always know we're going to get gashed, but our offense is going to save us.
Right.
That's not playoff football, bro. That's not playoff football. That's not playoff football. That's good for the season, but playoff football is different. And how many times have we learned that already, especially the past 3 years or so? And so it was just kind of frustrating to sit there and watch the tail wagging the dog for us. We seem to let what everyone says about us, we play down to it. And, of course, the Washington game meant nothing. But when you come in with the same spirit that you had in Detroit, against Detroit, the good games, even you lost to Miami, we fought. We were competent. The best thing about this game, usually when we lose games like this, we don't even get 10 points. We just we're done. We're discombobulated the entire game. The only thing about this game was we came back and scored 32 points. That's the only thing.
Somehow, some way.
Some way. And I think that's because they put in second and third teamers, maybe.
No.
Were they still starters?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Not until maybe the last touchdown.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But so our bottom line was from the defense, they came up 2 players too short.
Yeah.
They ran out of linebackers. Mm-hmm. You needed another linebacker.
You need 2 more linebackers.
Well, at least one in that game, right?
Yes.
And then you came up a cornerback short because you played Gilmore basically with one arm behind his back, and you didn't want to put Nashawn Wright out there for the entire game, who would have been the next corner up to take his place.
Are we giving Quinn a pass? Are we giving Quinn a pass?
Absolutely
I'm not.
not.
I'm asking for real. I'm asking for real.
Yeah.
Do we give him a pass because he didn't have the personnel?
I think they tried to fake it, and you
can't do that, man.
You can't.
Especially
With
a
the
team
size
coming in
of
here
those-
is hot.
the
And there
guys
was
out
some.
there, no.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, with this, I mean, with Marquise Bell and Damone Clark, who, granted, have done a great job filling some of those roles.
True.
We had discussed last week that had we maybe looked at the Arizona Cardinals game, or even when we were playing San Francisco, or when we lost Leighton Vander Esch, maybe bringing in a few other people aside from, I know we brought in Rashaan Evans. And
Extra
we looked at
defensive
Shaq
lineman.
Leonard.
Extra defensive lineman, maybe?
But to fill a couple more gaps where we were missing some serious type of guys out there.
Yeah, you mean
And,
physical
physical,
linebacker type of guys. Yeah.
And I think we were just
we weren't just one
doing
man.
what we
we weren't
could
just
do
one
with
or
what
two
we had.
men short.
Well, that was the game where the Diggs injury hurt. They had covered themselves from a personnel standpoint because they didn't have any other injuries.
Right.
Once they got Jordan Lewis back, they had those three guys for basically almost every down. Unlike what Washington did, because I was talking to, I guess you weren't here, I was talking to Nashawn Wright when he had to go in for Gilmore, that one play against Washington, and
We thought they were going to come his way.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that.
yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Because he said, well, Miami did. They put Hill over there and threw right at me, right? I said, nothing against you. He goes, no. He goes, and so I think they were hesitant to put him out there and just start him at the cornerback spot. So that spot, they tried to fake it, and it didn't work, playing zone, and the fact that they just ran out of linebackers.
You know, if I was a gambling man, I'd be so upset because I would want to hear from someone in the organization to tell me, hey, Dan Quinn's got a problem tomorrow, okay, for this game. Dan Quinn's going to have a problem for this game because he is just sorely overmatched physically. And it just seems as if he was flipping a coin, you know, in whatever defense he was calling. It just didn't matter, you know, whatever heads, it doesn't matter where it lands. We're just rolling dice, you know, trying to figure out what we're going to run. And that just doesn't seem like a championship team's approach to the playoffs, especially a 12-win team. I'm just extremely surprised that you had to put that kind of game plan out there with that type of personnel. You got to do something different, and you knew damn well it was. I think he knew it wasn't going to work. I don't know what that feels like to go into a game as a coach with this personnel and going, we're going to get gashed. And I know that's what he was thinking. You can only hope that something works out. But he knew, he had to know going into that booth up there that this was not going to work.
Yeah, and there was too many plays where you're playing, and God bless Marquise Bell, because I thought he did as well as you could do at his size playing linebacker.
Right.
But there were too many plays where Damone Clark is out there and you're trying to stop the run when they go two tight ends with Jaron Kearse and Bell up playing linebacker spots in safety bodies.
Does not add up.
And
It
you
does not make sense.
So you got to think, do you finally just put Parsons back at linebacker?
Well, they did it a few plays. I thought they should have
and it
done
made
more.
well. He
Yes.
played, if I'm not
Because
mistaken.
he ran to the
Yeah.
ball.
That's right.
Very true.
So use your linemen, you know, even if you have to go 5D linemen with Parsons in the back there with Damone Clark. To me, that would have been better than just rolling the dice with 6 DBs. It was just so futile, and it made no sense to me. It was extremely frustrating, and it just takes the air out of the stadium, and I'm pretty sure offensively, all they felt, not just Dak, but all they felt offensively, guys, we got to score. We got to make this play. Every play. Of course, playoffs is like that all the time. But there was no cushion. the Packers left them no cushion at all to play with, and to me it was foreseeable. It was foreseeable as from not just Quinn's point of view, but I know McCarthy knew that as well. And so, do you adjust on how you make the play calls on offense? Are you more sturdy, or are you going for bigger plays? It seems like we chose to just take that slow route, that methodical route. And Green Bay wasn't waiting on anything methodical. They weren't waiting on that. They set us up with the run, and the most disappointing part, even more than the run, is wide receivers and tight ends being wide open. You still have to play the defense. And I know that Dan Quinn did not teach them to play that pass defense the way they did. Guys are wide open because of mental mistakes. That was not because of the system.
And then the worst part, I know we got to hit a break here. They didn't have one sack. Not one sack. Now, you could say, okay, they took Parsons out of the game. Mm-hmm. Well, what about everybody else? Right? Not a sack.
Yeah.
And that was
Parsons only had 14 sacks this year. There's a lot of other guys out there that had some sacks that didn't get any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, when you watched yesterday, and we'll get into yesterday next, but yeah, you could take us to break.
All right, when we come back, we will go over some of our NFL games that were on this weekend, and how about Mike McCarthy being the 5th season for the Cowboys.
And that happened after we already did our last show. Yes.
I'm sure that's Mike.
Back with more in a minute.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Did you know that responding to one spam call can lead to more? Or that the IRS would never ask for your social security number on the phone? Beat scammers at their own game by subscribing to AARP Fraud Watch Network alerts and texts. At aarp.org/beatscammerstx, you can sign up to receive information that helps you recognize and avoid the latest scams. That's aarp.org/beatscammerstx.
Back to Mick Shots.
K-Post Roofing and Waterproofing, the official roofer of the Dallas Cowboys. We are searching for some information here. Everson had just told us that Zach Ertz was just signed
and I mentioned
to the practice squad for the Lions, so we're just confirming.
I was talking Kincaid, but that was Buffalo. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Someone must have gotten hurt in
they
Detroit.
decided, well, it's practice squad, so maybe they were covering themselves.
Yeah.
But yes, as Savannah pointed out when we were in the break, we haven't had a show since they announced that Mike McCarthy would be coming back for his 5th season. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts on that?
You know, I understand what Jerry's trying to do. I think he wants to keep some type of a continuity because of our regular season. But I still think changes need to be made in certain areas. I had guys and former players were saying, just to make things, I don't know, I thought it was a waste of time, but to try and just light a fire under some of your starters, make things a little bit more contentious in training camp coming up. No one's got a job type of thing. Let them know they got to work for everything. Give Trey Lance a chance to see what he can do with our offense. But that would be kind of silly to me because you're looking at a guy that just threw 36 touchdowns, and you're saying, okay, well, we need to make a change. I just can't see that. You got a guy win 12 games 3 years in a row, but then you're going to fire him.
Right.
It's just kind of hard to put your finger on that. But just as hard as it is to put your finger on why these elevated stats are so good, but yet we play down to our competition during the playoffs. So I don't like calling for anyone publicly to be fired, but we just got to, defensively, we've got to have a different attitude. I'm looking at Lamar Jackson. He's got all the time in the world to make up his mind. If he messes up on one series, defense is going to take care of it. We'll be okay. You look at Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. They held on with Josh Allen, doing okay. But they made Josh Allen play minimal football and gave Patrick Mahomes a chance to win the game.
So
you could pick any starting team except for maybe the Detroit game. Any team that won, their defense predicated what happens offensively. They gave their offense a chance to recover, to regroup, to, sit back and assess what happened previously. You can't do that when it's 20. Take away the pick six.
Scoring.
You can't do it. Take away the pick six. You can't do that when the scores are continually mounting up against you, and now you got to come out of your bag.
So I got a chance to voice my opinion after Mike McCarthy's press conference on Thursday. You have not had a chance yet.
Not yet.
To voice your opinion. So you're up.
You got it. So I had found out, obviously, the night before the press conference, just in the media, Mike McCarthy announced 5th season for the Cowboys, and the next day we go into the press conference room, and I say to myself, this is the most packed I've seen it this entire year.
They were expecting something else, weren't they?
Standing room. No, they knew.
No.
Because
They had announced it.
Jerry had released it.
They had announced it, but it was the most packed I've seen the room. Just reporters standing in the back. Usually there's enough seating for everybody. Just a very packed room. And primarily the question was, have we addressed what had happened against the Packers? And I talked to Mickey after, and it almost felt like a lot of what we were talking about in the press conference, specifically Coach McCarthy, it was a little bit going in circles. And it was really, hey, we need to go back and reevaluate this offseason, look back at some of the fundamentals that we have and changes that we need to make.
Sounds familiar.
Exactly.
It sounds familiar.
Well, so here is the key thing, and I'll give Jerry credit for this because everybody is calling for this and that, right? And while he respects the media, respects the fans, he sat back, took the emotion out of it, and said, okay, what's the prudent thing to do? Am I going to just blow it up and start from scratch after we've won 12 consecutive games?
At 80-plus years old.
12, yeah.
That's one factor.
Right. And so I thought the other reasoning in his mind was, if I fire Mike McCarthy, I've fired my offensive coordinator and my play caller. So now whoever comes in with this big name, who's going to take that job over? And basically put Dak in a situation where he's going to have a third offense or a third play caller
after 36 touchdowns
in 3 years.
Yes.
After
right?
one of his best seasons.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
so
tough.
I think
It is
he had to factor that in. That was my thought on it. Now, as for the staff, I think there could be a couple of changes.
That's where I was headed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you said, and make sure guys aren't just, and you got to factor in also, they got 16 unrestricted free agents. So that's a big change right there, because you're not going to re-sign every one of those guys.
Right.
And if I remember counting it up right, half of them were starters, or are starters.
Offensively?
Both offense,
sides.
defense, special teams. Got to bring back the deep snapper. He's an unrestricted free agent, right? C.J. Goodwin, who you didn't have the entire season. Do you want to bring him back as a special teams player? So they've got some work to do in the offseason. So it won't come back the same. But I just thought that. Just shaking it up like that and assuming a new coach comes in and he's going to win 12 games and he's going to win the division title and he's going to win 2 playoff games, right? That's a leap of faith right there. So to run it back one more time, I think was
for his last time, because this is last year.
5th year of his contract.
Right.
And Jerry kind of did it what he wanted to do and didn't let the media or the fans uproar, or at least the ones that get vocal, sway him into a decision. I thought it was somewhat cheap after the game, and I think it happened with probably multiple TV stations to interview pissed off fans right after the game.
Oh, well, that's part of the course. Yeah.
Right?
That's kind of fun.
What are they going to say?
It's
right?
kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's very entertaining, I must say. But
I mean, this fan base is upset. They're upset with
and they deserve to
outcome,
be.
that we had such high expectations going into this game against Green Bay, and I think it's still going to take a lot to prove on the football side to get this fan base behind your back.
That's
again.
right, Savannah.
But ultimately, Jerry, I think he made the right call. You keep around the coach that you've had 12 and 5 seasons continuously.
I'm with you on that one. The fans, they deserve better. I mean, they've been sticking. Come on, this is the #1 sports franchise in the world, and it's not just because you got a smart owner. You've got fans that support. And, I mean, I'm a former player, but I'm also a fan as well. I know both sides of it. And as a fan, yes, I do deserve more as a fan. So I know exactly how they feel. There's a lot of excuses you can make. I make excuses for this offense and defense as a former player, but then as a fan, I also know, man, some of that is BS. You know, just to be honest, you've got to. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again, as we talked about. So changes, yes, you're right. They have to be made. And McCarthy is going to have to, I think, and I don't think that he likes to run his team this way, but he's going to have to change the way he runs his team. Regular season, yes, those are big games. You got big games in the regular season, and we've won big games in the regular season. Doesn't mean jack when it comes to the playoffs, because that's a whole nother level. And we are not reaching that based on his style of coaching at this point. And what I mean is, you got to cuss your defensive coordinator out sometimes. You got to cuss somebody out sometimes. You got to buck up to him with that big stomach he got and buck up to him and hey, man, you got to do better, bro. I'm looking bad over here. I'm the head coach.
Bringing Everson Walls.
I'm just saying, man,
And you know what? You know what the scary part is? Schedule gets tougher.
It gets tougher.
It
really does.
Here's my list. So they're gonna their strength of schedule last year was the 7th worst. Right now, their strength of schedule going off the teams they have to play next year off the record this year is it's 50, so .505. So it's a winning record.
Yes.
All
yes.
right?
Yes.
So here are the games you got to play against teams that had winning records from this past season. 2 games against Philly. You got to play Baltimore, AFC title game competitor. You got to play Tampa Bay, 9-8. Detroit, 12-5. Houston, 10-7. Cincinnati, 9-8. New Orleans, 9-8. Cleveland, 11-6. Pittsburgh, 10-7. And San Francisco, again, 12-5.
Good.
So
It's going to be
11 of 17 games they play will be against teams with winning records from this past season, and 9 playoff teams, 5 division winners. So how many divisions do we have? 8?
Yeah.
And you're one of them, so that's 6. So you're only missing 2 division winners. And the 2 teams that had the best records in their conference.
So let me ask you then.
It ain't going to get easier.
Do you think that we have the right to go into this season the way we did last season? Do you think that?
no.
I mean,
Absolutely
come
not.
on.
You have to change
You got to
so much. There's so many changes.
defensively, you just can't outscore everyone. You just can't. I love the numbers. It all looks good. And I love the fact that the defense comes and reacts to that. I want my defense to be the catalyst for this team. And you can still offensively have the same plan. You still can't hardly run the damn ball, right? You're still passing the ball very well. So why not add a good defense to that predicates what we do and not play off of what we do?
So since you mentioned that, my deal from yesterday was the majority of these teams ran the ball awfully well, right? Now, I know Baltimore's stats and Buffalo's stats get skewed because of the quarterback running for all those yards. But one of the things that occurred to me watching the games yesterday is there was a bunch of running backs who made people miss.
Yeah, man.
Right?
Oh, that was a sweet run. You're talking about I think it was the Buffalo.
Well, James Cook, right?
But he shook the man in the hole.
Oh, yeah.
Took it to the house.
And
you don't
then,
see that very often. That's a McCaffrey run right there.
And then Jahmyr Gibbs.
Amazing.
And it occurred to me that maybe it's not a bad thing to draft a running back in the first round.
Was Gibbs the first rounder?
Yeah.
Yes, he was. Gibbs was the first rounder.
And he made people miss in the hole.
Yes, he did.
And it made me think back to, hey, Pollard did the best he could with what was available there, right? But he's more of a straight line runner than he is elusive. Dottle has a little bit of elusiveness, but not like I saw with Gibbs.
No.
And I'm thinking, okay, I'm playing with a 4th round draft choice at running back. Nothing against that, because he certainly did the most. And a free agent, basically, rookie free agent, right?
Yeah.
And they're playing with a 1st round running back. So I don't want to hear this offseason when we get to draft talk, can't take a running back in the first round.
I saw one of them. I can't remember because both games were good. I saw one of them. He's on the sideline, and he fakes out a DB. He's on the sideline. I mean, that's easy tackle for a defensive back. You clearly use the sideline. He shook a guy down, went around him. It was against the Chiefs. It was Cook.
Yeah.
He shook a guy, number 38. He shook him down, got around him for about 3 or 4 more yards, and went out of bounds. Those kind of things, our backs can't do that, and they don't even attempt to do that. And that was playoff football by running backs this entire weekend.
Well, even if you look at Aaron Jones and Christian McCaffrey in the Green Bay 49ers game, they both were incredible.
They were.
Incredible.
They showed great running back skills.
Yeah, to your point, Mickey, it might not be a bad idea getting a running back in the first round, but you need to have somebody or even bring somebody in the offseason and start evaluating what that position looks like with a powerhouse running back.
Well, we'll have time to talk about what they need in the draft, what they don't, but they're going to need some juice, either offensively or defensively, to get everybody excited about playing again.
One more before we go on break. I'm wondering if our running back would do better another year removed from the Achilles injury. Do you think that, like we talked about I think it was Terrence Steele trying to come back from his injury.
Right.
And that first year being tough, second year being better. Do you think that that's what was going on with Pollard? Coming off that first year is always tougher, and maybe he'll be better the following year, because that certainly would bode just the same for a running back as it would for an offensive lineman.
Well, and by the way, he's an unrestricted free agent. So now you're going to have to decide if you do, and then you're going to have to judge the market, right, on what does somebody else think of my two guys compared to what I think of them.
Right.
So it's going to be an interesting offseason.
Yeah, man.
For sure.
And I have a full list of off-season specific dates that are important.
All
We can
right.
get to that when we get back.
Cool.
With more Mick Shots in a moment.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Did you know that responding to one spam call can lead to more? Or that the IRS would never ask for your social security number on the phone? Beat scammers at their own game by subscribing to AARP Fraud Watch Network alerts and texts. At aarp.org/beatscammerstx, you can sign up to receive information that helps you recognize and avoid the latest scams. That's aarp.org/beatscammerstx.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Back to Mick Shots.
The 99th annual East-West Shrine Bowl will feature 130 of the nation's top NFL draft prospects on Thursday, February 1st at the Star in Frisco. Tickets as low as $20 are available at shrinebowl.com. Proceeds benefit Shriners Children's. Very nice. That was one of the dates on my list. February 1st is the East-West Shrine Bowl.
That's what day of the week is it? February 1st. Is
Thursday.
That like a Thursday night, huh?
Thursday.
Or Thursday day?
I will try and find the time for us.
It's a night
Thursday
game?
night.
Okay. Well, we can go see that and start our scouting for the draft.
Do it.
Just looking for running backs and linebackers. That's all we
There we go.
I'm here for that.
All right. So, the Packers. Check this out. They ran for 136 yards against a San Francisco defense that we all kind of judged being pretty darn good, right? The 49ers ran for 111 yards. Neither quarterback had a great day. Now, I know it was raining, right? San Francisco needs a roof, okay? How many times they're going to play these games in a downpour?
And they need better shoes, too, because they were the only ones that fell down yesterday. No Packer players were falling down.
Now, I know the Packers game basically came down to that last possession. I think Love started playing too fast, by the way. The
Very,
interception.
at the very end,
he
yeah.
still had time, right? He didn't have to throw a desperation
not. He
Hail
did
Mary.
not.
It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But here's where I thought they lost the game. Their first possession, they drove right down the field, 1st and 10 at the San Francisco 13.
Mm-hmm.
They kick a 29-yard field goal. All right. Second possession, they're up 3-0. They drive from the 18 all the way to the 14-yard line. They go for it on 4th down, which I was for, and they get stuffed on 4th and 1. And you know what? I still think they should have challenged the call. That guy made it.
He made it.
He made it.
He made it.
I don't know why they didn't challenge it.
That reminded me so much of several of Dak's quarterback sneaks on the goal line,
Right.
where his whole body's laying across the line, and they're like, "Oh, I think it was back here." So yeah, you know, sometimes I think that's home cooking. I don't know. It just seems like that. It seems like a little home cooking.
And then after San Francisco goes down and gets the touchdown pass to Kittle, it was wide open, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Their next possession, they get to 1st and goal at the 9, and they had to settle for another 29-yard field goal. And as you guys know, and I continue to preach, the more field goals you kick, the closer you are to losing.
Mm-hmm. There's only one exception to that I know of.
Yeah.
That would be the Giants versus the 49ers.
When you played.
Yes, and we kicked 5 field goals, and we kicked their asses.
Thanks to the defense, right?
That's right.
So
thanks to the defense.
You were inside basically the red zone 3 times, and you got 6 points. You just can't have that happen because you were dominating the game. San Francisco was in trouble. And you know what? They looked vulnerable.
Oh, they did.
Right?
They actually
You can see
really
that you can see that their secondary clearly has issues at this point. Love was he had some plays to where he made them look like the Cowboys secondary.
How do they get guys that wide open?
Well, people falling down. There were some people falling down. For some reason, the safety came up, and number 80, Melton, I believe it was going right by him.
Oh, that's right. He
fell down. What are you
Right.
doing? I think he thought he was going to run a deep end cut or something, which that didn't seem to be the case. Like that could have even been the case at that time.
And once again, by the way, Love did not get sacked once.
I was going to bring that up because the ability for him to have as much time as he did in the pocket, both in the Cowboys game and against San Fran, who is one of the best defenses that you'll see in the league, that was actually very impressive to me.
That's
They're
because
doing
of the
something
running
right
game.
there.
That was the running game. The running game was working, and the play action was what got him. He had plenty of time because of the play action. And I got to say, guys, switching gears defensively, the Packers are a much better defensive squad than they showed throughout the whole season.
Very good.
They stepped it up during the playoffs because they played the 49ers very well. They had Brock Purdy looking like an average quarterback, and this is a guy that's up for MVP as a quarterback. And now they really made them look pedestrian.
See, I heard somebody talking this morning on the way in that he just had a bad game. Well, there's a reason why he had a bad game, right? They played awfully well.
And the pressure inside coming from number 97, whoever this guy is, was it 97 or 93? He was leaning on the guards and the centers all game long.
Kenny Clark.
Putting pressure on the quarterback, and he was in Purdy's face. Purdy is just like any other QB. Let's just face it, guys. They're all human. And when someone is in your face, you can feel it. When someone is breathing down your back, they can feel it. And you throw too soon or you throw errantly. And that's what I liked about the pressure that they were getting, because it caused Purdy to panic just a little bit, just like you see happens to Dak, just like you see happens to Josh Allen or any quarterback in the league.
And Green Bay's ability to put pressure on Jennings, Ayuk, Kittle was was very proven.
Yeah,
because the amount of times George Kittle, he had 7 targets, only 4 receptions.
That's right.
He dropped the ball on several attempts.
Right in his hands. He's like,
right there. And I just think that they really got to those guys. Even Jennings, he had 6 targets, got the ball 5 times. Ayuk 6 targets, 3 receptions. So
and the other thing that should not get overlooked, by the way, is the Packers drove to the San Francisco 23-yard line, and Carlson on a 41-yard field goal went wide left. And I was saying to myself, oh, that's going to come back and haunt him.
You knew it. You knew
right?
it. You knew it. You knew it.
He hits that field goal. It's a tie game. They're going into overtime.
That's right.
That's how close they came.
That's how important field goal kickers are.
How about that?
Yes.
That's one thing we can't complain about.
We don't worry
right?
about our kickers. No, we are good.
And then if we look at the Buffalo game.
Oh, my God.
Wide right again. Everson knows all about wide right.
It was so funny because I think it was Mark Collins. That was my cornerback on the right side. He talked about 33 years ago yesterday, we beat San Francisco. And they said that was supposed to be one of the greatest teams in history. And we came in with the 5 field goals and D'd them up. And as we're talking about that, the Buffalo game is on. And he went wide right. And, boy, the thread just got bigger and bigger. We talked about it all night. We texted about it all night, about Buffalo and their history of wide right. So we just came up with a whole new name for them, the Buffalo Wide Right Bills. And my son said it. He before they even started getting into the thread. He said he'll miss it. I said, why you say that? He said, that's what Buffalo kickers do.
That's good.
That was my son's call as we're sitting there watching the game. And sure enough, man, that was too easy. I mean, it's going left to right? The wind was blowing left to right. He didn't account for that at all. It came off the foot. Straight. And sure enough, the wind did what the wind does.
And he said that after the game, too. He said, I knew what the wind does going that direction.
Yeah.
And I didn't allow – he didn't trust it.
He did. I think if you put more I don't know how kickers do, but he seemed like he chipped it.
It's like he kicked it like it was a 44-yard field goal.
Like normal.
Instead of a 54-yard
Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you. That's what he didn't drive it.
You have to aim it.
He didn't drive it. He just kind of used a 9-iron, as opposed to using a hybrid.
And he left it up in the air.
He left it in the air softly, and the wind took it.
Oh, how heartbreaking.
And all we talked about after that was Scott Norwood, of course. And everyone talked about, they were texting about, oh, I just saw Scott Norwood this past offseason, and, I didn't bring it up until, I think Steve Diassi says he was with him the entire golf round, and he was waiting on him to bring it up. Scott was. And Diassi brought it up on the 18th hole.
No way.
Yes, he brought it on the 18th hole.
And, but again, and I was glad Josh Allen pointed it out. It's like the kid didn't lose the game. We did. I mean, they've got 1st and 10. They're at the 27-yard line, and they end up with, 3 straight incompletions?
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
well, when you even look at
they ran for 1 yard and then had 2 straight incompletions, where one of them I thought he should have just ran with it, the last one, and just get me 5 more yards or 6 more yards, right, to shorten the distance of the field goal.
When you look at that game, they were lucky to have a chance to kick that field goal. Hardeman, of course, messes up on the goal line when he fumbles the ball. What's his name? Was that Hardeman when he fumbled the ball out
Kansas City out the end zone?
Yeah. I mean, they were going to lose. That was going to be like making a 2-score game, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
They made another mistake where they should have done better. San Francisco got away with Jordan Love throwing some crap across the middle. For some reason, he was way behind his tight end, and that was a mistake. So you had games where, the quarterbacks you know, they made some mistakes and put themselves out of position. If the Packers complete that pass to the tight end coming across the middle, I think it ended up being intercepted.
The one the Savage intercepted?
Yeah, no, this was the Packers. Jordan Love missed his tight end coming across.
Oh, he missed it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was another Packer play. The same guy that returned for the touchdown against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
He's got another one.
He misses it.
And he just
He
dropped
misses
the
it.
ball.
Give me a break. Man, my son and I were like, okay, we kept comparing everything to Dallas game. Everything was to the Dallas
But
game.
that was it.
That was it.
That was a touchdown.
That was a touchdown, just like ours.
That was wild.
Right? So, yeah, that was yeah.
So predictions going into next Sunday.
Oh.
Let's do that.
Very good, Savannah.
Predictions. Let's.
I don't think she wanted to bring up our predictions in the last Cowboys game.
I think that our clicks to pick, we may need to just.
Yeah, let's just scrap that, man. Especially the last game.
Yeah. All right. Chiefs Ravens Sunday, 3:00 Eastern time. Big game.
I've always said that I wouldn't replace Dak with any other quarterback but Mahomes. I've always said that, and because he's just got it.
He's amazing.
He's amazing.
If you look at his wide receiver core, and he made it work.
You can look at any way you want to look at it. I don't care with Tyreek Hill or not. Patrick Mahomes was always that guy, and you know, he's the only one I know that can do miracles at this point. Having said that, I don't think he's going to do it against Baltimore. I think Baltimore is going to win the game. That defense makes Lamar look so good and comfortable.
I know.
He never feels stressed. He can go over there and talk about something with his offense while his defense is out there busting people up. That's a great luxury to have, and I think they're going to do that same thing in this game. So I'm looking at Baltimore to win.
I think the Ravens, especially with Lamar, look like a more composed team. I think the Chiefs tend to scramble a little bit, and as you said, Mahomes has pulled off some of those miracles, but I think the scrambling and the ability to just not have control so much is going to cost them in the end. I think the Ravens are more composed and have a better team with Lamar as their quarterback.
All right, so just to make sure we all don't do the same thing, put me down for Kansas City.
Okay.
A win on the road again.
Okay.
And what they're going to have to figure out is basically they cannot allow, what was it? They cannot allow Lamar Jackson to rush for 100 yards. And that means he only had 9 runs for 100 yards. That's like...
He had 2 rushing touchdowns, right?
Right. Yeah, and you knew what was going to happen, didn't you?
So good.
Didn't you know he was going to run the ball?
He's something else.
So he averaged 9.1 a carry. Put me down for Kansas City.
Okay, interesting.
Hey, by the way, there was another moment in that game. 27 could have scooped and scored on the fumble against Buffalo. They fumbled the ball.
Buffalo fumbled?
Buffalo fumbled the ball. Number 27 had a chance to scoop and score, and Buffalo got the ball.
Oh, when
back.
the guy on the ground reached out and pulled it back?
Yes. So, yeah, that game that wasn't nearly as close as that missed field goal might make it seem.
Maybe
so
I
just
should
wanted to
change my
point
pick.
that out. Yeah, you should. You should.
All right, Lions 49ers.
That's a tough one. Dan Campbell coming in strong, coming in like that big Texas man, chest stuck out.
Did you hear what he had to say at halftime at the interview?
No.
They were like, whoa, what are you going to do? What do you got to do? He goes, what do we got to do? We got to play football. He goes,
He's such a good coach.
We're in the divisional. We're playing to go to the conference championship. Let's go out and have some fun.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to say, well, what did everything that went wrong? And he's going, no. He goes, we're in this. Let's go. And
I love that.
It was
man.
great.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
And it sounded
Very
like
motivational.
And it sounded like, so they were up 17-13 at halftime, right? Mm-hmm. And it sounded like what he was doing in the interview was what he told the team, right? It wasn't this, well, we just got to make a play here, a play there, and we're in the, no, it's like he basically told the reporter exactly what he told his team.
That doesn't predicate how a team plays, but damn, it sure does sound good.
The other thing,
you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you being a brash and outspoken, it if it works with your team. It doesn't always work with everyone, with every team. But Dan Campbell, you believe him. You believe it's going to work just because that's his MO.
All right, so who are you going with?
Detroit.
Okay.
I'm going with Detroit.
Okay.
And that's a tough one because the 49ers are tough.
You know what? I'm going to go with the upset also. Mm-hmm. And you know what the problem is I tend to pick who I probably am pulling for.
Well, nothing wrong with that, especially when you have two closely matched teams.
Right?
You might as well go with who you like if it's even.
I'm going with the Lions as well, guys.
Oh!
3 for 3.
I think Bill would too.
Bill's now just going to have to be honest.
Bill's
right?
going to have
and
to
go,
go.
this is what I would have done, right?
Exactly.
Let's see if he happened to be listening.
Yeah, well, if we
No.
did, he did, we'd be getting plenty of texts. I don't have any texts.
Well, he'll have to let us know his thoughts.
And we'll have to put him. Yeah, he's got to be honest, right?
Right, because next Monday we're going to know who's going to the Super Bowl.
That's right.
So.
Well, we'll have an extra week there because there's a week in between. So we'll know who's going, then we can make our picks.
Exactly.
In a week later.
Perfect.
All right.
That'll do it. We'll see if Bill joins us next week.
Yeah.
At 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock.
11, Bill.
On Mick Shots.
Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!